Shohei Ohtani, whose interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, is facing federal charges related to his alleged theft. Mizuhara is in negotiations to plead guilty. The probe started after news broke that at least $4.5 million was transmitted from Ohtani's bank account to a California bookmaker under federal investigation. And we have Buster Olney here to talk to us about this. Buster, you're obviously plugged in on this and everything that's going on around baseball. This latest news on Ohtani and the interpreter, what does it all mean?
Yeah, Dan, in talking with sources in Major League Baseball, they are hoping that their investigation in this matter is going to be done sooner rather than later if this plea bargain goes through. Because you know, if in fact a plea bargain is reached, if that case is resolved, then Major League Baseball will do what it's done in the past in steroid investigations and domestic violence investigations. They will go and talk to the principals involved. They're going to want to talk to the interpreter. They're going to want to talk to Ohtani. And look, it goes without saying that they want this resolved as quickly as possible because there's no bigger star in this sport than Shohei Ohtani.
Of course, because of what he does as a hitter and a pitcher. He is not pitching this season because he had an elbow procedure last September. That's become a trend around the game. He's one of many pitchers to have elbow issues recently. You see this list here of guys that are dealing with that. Some big names. Hembo's making noise over there because he can't believe what it's doing to his game. What are you hearing around baseball regarding this disturbing trend of elbow problems?
And Dan, you know this. This was a problem that started long before the advent of the pitch clock. In fact, there were more injury lists, pitchers put on the injury list in 2022 than in 2023, the first year of the pitch clock. When you talk with pitchers, when you talk with executives around baseball, they think at the core problem is about the chase for velocity. We've seen pitchers and organizations focus over the last 10 or 15 years in throwing harder and doing maximum spin on breaking balls. In the offseason, pitchers training to throw as hard as possible. And that's why a lot of people believe we're seeing this absolute wave of injuries.
So what's the solution? How do we come back from this?
So 10 or 15 years ago, the NFL had a whole issue with quarterbacks getting hurt. Guess what? They put in structural changes to protect the quarterbacks. They changed rules. And executives I spoke with this week believe that's what baseball also has to look at. Can you put in rules that perhaps could restore the preeminence of starting pitchers, incentivize managers, organizations to develop pitchers to pitch longer to the game and throw at varying speeds rather than simply going out there and redlining like drag racers and then having a parade of relievers that follow. Maybe that's putting some sort of roster limitations. Maybe it's the idea of the double hook, which Max Scherzer told me about during the playoffs last year, where you tie the use of the designated hitter to the starting pitcher. When the starting pitcher comes out, then the manager loses the DH. They have to do something to have pitchers stay in the game longer.
Fascinating. We'll see what they do to address this because obviously it's an issue of great concern. We talk about these big stars not being on the field. Before we let you go, we're a couple weeks into the Major League Baseball season. I want to get some early season takeaways from you. Who's playing his way into a gigantic new contract?
Oh my God, Juan Soto is off to an incredible start. You know, hitting .360 so far with a .468 on base percentage. Look, Shohei Ohtani's deal doesn't really pay him for another decade, which means that a year from now, Juan Soto is going to be the highest paid player in baseball. He's a free agent at year's end. The Yankees are going to want to keep him. I've talked to sources within the Mets organization that they want to keep him. What a great bidding war for him.
Yeah, it should be fascinating. Which high-profile team do you think is entering a multi-year rebuild?
The New York Mets. What's become clear in this very slow 4-7 start is they do not have high-end pitching, either at the major league level or in the minor leagues. And here's the problem for the Mets. They have this core position players that's essentially middle-aged. So by the time they put together pitching, guess what? A lot of those position players will be on the downslide.